Good afternoon, everyone. Live from Silicon Valley, California. This is Success Sadhana. My name is JM, and I welcome you all to our program today, where we continue our Superpower series. Today is Superpowers number 7. Application unlocks all your superpowers. With our speaker today, Vaish, a veteran Bhakti Yogi, author, and former monk. We have 23 members on Zoom and around 10 members on Facebook. Good afternoon, Vaish. Welcome back to another episode of Success Sadhana.
Thank you so much, JM. I'm really happy to be back here. Great to see everybody. Hey, Wisam. Rajesh is here. Sharanagata's here. Rashi's here. Anurag, Subhadra, all the way from Hawaii. Barbara, thanks for joining. Haresh, Umesh, the Mesh brothers. Todd, thanks for being here. Marisela, and Jay, and Mayank, and Manish, and Lynn, and Ramakrishna, and Vijay, Jiva Prasanna, Vanessa, Danielle, hi, thanks for being here. Manu, thanks for being here. Great, everybody. Thanks for joining back on Success Sadhana. Sadhana is the very simple translation of it is practice, and it can be overlooked because human life is so full of potential. We're ready for, actually, we're loaded up, and what brings out all our assets and all the benefits of life is just a little bit of effort on our side. I like to use the word methodical. And if we can get into that and be guided by higher intelligence to take a path that we continue on a regular daily basis, we'll start to notice very naturally that these great qualities come out in us because we're ultimately spiritual beings. The body and the mind are instruments that we're using, and when they're trained in a certain way, they can be instrumental in bringing out what's really important, which is our spiritual identity. And the spiritual identity isn't just something that exists without context. It actually has, we as spiritual beings, we're not amorphous, we're not nondescript, we're very specific, individual, conscious beings. We have an eternal identity, and that is completely satisfactory. The temporary identity we have as material bodies and minds can sometimes seem a little confusing, like, is this all there is? And how come it comes and goes? But our spiritual identity is fully satisfying. And there's great qualities that we have already within us. They just get covered over. And with a little refinement, they come out. So in the series on our superpowers, and we all have superpowers, they're just waiting to come out. The process of sadhana or application or practice is so exciting because anyone can do this. As humans, we're naturally endowed with the kind of intelligence where we can decide where we want to go. We can make that our focal point. We can write it down. Then we can start moving towards it. And many have argued successfully that it's in moving towards a worthy goal where we feel actual satisfaction in life. So that's the topic today. But before we get into that, JM has something to say. I can tell just by looking at his face. Right, JM?
No, I just wanted to welcome, and this is the 7th series of Superpower. And we do have a few newcomers who have joined. So if anyone would like to say hi, please feel free to come and say hi, and do let us know what brought you here today. So we'll be happy to hear from you.
Well, if you're a newcomer, you can say hi. All you have to do is unmute and say hi. And if you've been here before, you can also say hi. Does anybody want to say hi?
Hello.
Yeah. Oh, go
Hello.
ahead. Sorry.
Please.
Hola.
Hola.
Hi.
Thanks for coming.
Hi.
Hi. Well, we got a couple of highs there. Thanks, Arima.
Yeah, I'm also new to this. This is my first time coming to this kind of mindful sessions, and I'm really looking forward to learn something and kind of implement in my life, which can maybe show good progress or don't even have to make an impact, but just wanted to learn something.
Great. Well,
Yeah.
you're so welcome. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you so much.
Anyone else?
Hi, this is Danielle from Arizona. This is my first time attending the meeting as well, and I'm really excited to be here and looking forward to learning and growing.
Wow, learning and growing. That's beautiful. That's exactly what we're into here, and I'm glad you joined. You know, growth is preceded with learning, and that's something we'll talk about today, is that with knowledge and practice, we grow. We can become more than we are now. We can get more out of life. Fantastic. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Vijaya from Folsom, joining from Folsom. I joined maybe a session or two long time back, but after quite some time, I'm rejoining. So just I thought maybe mostly this is dedicated towards meditation. This is what I was thinking, but maybe not. But I'm here
Yeah,
willing
we're
to
going to
listen
do
to
a little
you.
meditation today. Definitely, Vijay. Thanks for coming back. That really makes my day. We'll do a little meditation to start with.
Sure.
It's where it all starts, within our own purview. By looking within, by having some time to introspect, we can discover that actually we have the fulcrum of power right within us. Excellent. Thank you so much for joining from Folsom. Anyone else?
Hello, this is Nosley. This is the first time I'm joining. I got to know about this from my boss. He talked very highly of these series. I do meditation, especially chakra meditation. And my main purpose is how to have balance of life and work and how to reduce my stress.
Well, our thanks to your boss and to you for taking the trouble to come here. I could see intel there. It means you're very busy, and taking this hour out is very meaningful to us that you took the time to come. Thanks so much. Yes. So the chakras, that's something very interesting that you brought up, how there's so much more going on inside us that we see, or oftentimes we don't look for it because I'm so externally focused that I forget about the powers that are already within me. And chakras describe the energy centers within the body. And when we become aware of how we're being influenced externally and internally, and we can take up a sadhana or a practice, we can achieve some balance in life. It's really true. Otherwise, it's very easy to feel overwhelmed, isn't it? Great. Anyone else? Okay, JM, thank you very much for that smile. I can just tell by looking at you when you want to announce something or bring new people in. So I'm glad I was able to perceive that. And now, talking about perception, let's take a look inside. So what we're going to do now, if you'll join me, is go into a meditation session for a while. And if you would kindly take a moment to find a comfortable seat or sit comfortably. I think you're already in a seat. And maybe sit up a little straighter than you were a few seconds ago. And you close your eyes. And just breathe and relax, but be alert. You're a spark of the supreme fire, and you have free will, you have consciousness. And just be. You're a human being. You don't have to do anything. Just be aware and focus on your breath. And relax and be aware. Be aware that you're aware. And let your thoughts and emotions come and go without judging them. Just notice the energy moving within your own mind. Emotions more in the heart region. They're always ebbing and flowing. We can be carried away by the tide, or we can be observant as we are now. And focus on your breathing. Inhale a little more deeply than usual, and then relax by exhaling deeply. You can help yourself to concentrate on your breath by mentally saying in on the inhalations and out on the exhalations. And when your mind wanders, runs off to do something, just bring it back to your breath and just be. You don't have to do anything. And now bring your attention to your heart space. And imagine as you inhale that you're breathing a golden light into your heart. As you breathe out, the golden light fills the room around you. Breathe in soft, golden energy. Your heart is warm and open. And when you exhale, release all your tensions. What you are is more important than what you have. What you have will come and go, but what you are is permanent and amazing. Relax. And breathe. Now you're on a beach, close to the ocean, but not touching it. It's a beautiful, sunny day. The air is fresh. The sand is a brilliant white and the sky a clear blue. The sun pleasantly warms your skin and you can hear the waves lapping. The water is now bathing your feet. As it returns to the ocean, your feet become transparent. The next wave bathes your legs. And as it returns to its source, your legs too become transparent. Now the water flows over your hips to your navel, As the water returns to the ocean, your body is transparent from the navel down. The next wave bathes you up to your neck. The water is soothing, and you feel safe. As the wave pulls back, your whole body is transparent. The next wave flows over your head. You have no trouble breathing, and you are very relaxed. As the water returns to the ocean, your whole body, including your head, is transparent. You can no longer see it. Now there's only you, the real you, who is free from all the coverings, who is separate from the body, and who witnesses all the life situations that surround you. Take this moment to notice that you exist. Be consciously aware of your consciousness. Notice that you're alive. Notice that your life is different from your life situation. Now stay in this state of awareness and listen to this text from Yoga Wisdom. As the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity within the body illuminate the entire body by consciousness. Those who see with eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body can attain true happiness. Stay in this relishable state and breathe and appreciate your own existence. You don't have to do anything or go anywhere to be happy. Take a couple more nourishing breaths. You can move your fingers, rub your hands together, create some friction. Open your eyes and come back into the room. And welcome back. Thanks for taking that little journey. It's amazing that we can do that. At night we dream and we go all kinds of places, but it's determined by what we've done in the daytime, what we've done in the past. I don't know, Jane's sleeping now. So this is one of the points of meditation, is to become relaxed but still stay very focused. And in previous sessions we've practiced mantra meditation. You can do that by repeating a mantra and being very much engaged with your vocal cords and your ears. And we'll, if we have time, we'll do a little bit of that at the end of the show today. So now I'm going to talk about application. When we take up a spiritual practice, any practice for that matter, but I'm specifically talking about a spiritual practice, there's a way in which we can employ all of the commonsensical practices that we are aware of. And JM, if you'll start me off with the first couple of slides, I'll go into the subject matter today. So, application. A lot of people talk about doing things, or oftentimes we think about attaining various objectives in life, but what happens? We get waylaid, we get distracted, and so forth. One of my favorite quotes we'll start off with today from W.H. Murray. He, by the way, was the first one to climb to the summit of Mount Everest before there were a lot of modern amenities to help one do that. And he commented as follows: until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. That the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance, which no person could have dreamed would have come their way. Whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now. And by Goethe, the philosopher, writer, said, knowing is not enough, we must apply. Willing is not enough, we must do. So here are the foundational points that I'm putting together today of application. First is we have a modicum of free will. We can ascertain that in our meditations by noticing that we can point our attention wherever we wish. Even if we're constrained externally, we can still move our minds in whatever direction we decide to go. At any time, that's our choice. We have that free will. And where attention goes, energy flows. Our attention is so powerful because we are non-material beings. We're creative. And where we plant our glance is significant. We are ensconced in an inferior energy called matter. But we're what matters in the combination of matter, because we are a higher energy called consciousness. And one of the symptoms of consciousness, or one of the assets, is that conscious beings, such as that we are, have free will. And we can exercise that by pointing our attention where we wish. Number two, we're agents for change, creation, and improvement. We're agents for change, creation, and improvement. That sounds like a good affirmation, doesn't it? I am an agent for change, creation, and improvement. We can forget that and become a victim of circumstances. Oftentimes, we feel overwhelmed by the circumstances of our life. There's an ideal that I can't change, I can't create anything, and I can't improve. Just I am the way I am. But this is not the verdict of the wisdom literatures. They're all speaking to us directly, saying, no, you can change at any time. And we'll talk about application, how to become an agent for our own change, how to become creative, and how to improve. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying it's very possible. I guess very possible is getting very close to easy. Okay, third is application is the deliberate enactment of your free will. So we have free will, but maybe we forget about it, and maybe we just get carried away by the circumstances, as I just mentioned. But when we decide, after realizing our free will, that I'm going to deliberately point it in a direction that I decide upon, we become self-directing. This is the idea behind application. I'm going to apply myself in a particular way because I understand by doing that, I'm going to get a particular result. Let's hear a few reflections on these foundational principles of application. Let's just flash it again. Take a close look at it, or you can maybe paste them in the chat box. But let's hear what you have to say. You can reflect back anything that you've heard so far about these principles of application. A reflection is easy. It means you heard something in the monologue or saw it on the screen that made sense to you. Reflect it back for everyone's benefit. Or if you have some realization of it, or if you have a question, that also opens the conversation. Let's try it. We'll see if we get some human interaction. Manu.
Yeah, I have a question actually. When looking at we are an agent of change and creation, but there is also something called as predestined things that happen. So just want to understand destined things versus how we can bring the change.
Yeah, doesn't it feel that way? We're being pulled along, and it's hard to decipher where does my free will come in. If I'm being pulled in a certain direction, there's predestination. Okay, let's say we're in San Francisco. We go to SFO, the San Francisco airport, and we get on a plane because we have a ticket to Chicago. So once we check in there, and by the way, we're not going to any other destination because they won't let you on another plane. They'll only let you on the plane to Chicago because that's the ticket you have. It's predestined. You already purchased the ticket. It's too late now. So now you get on the flight and it takes off. You're predestined to go to Chicago. However, while you're on the flight, you can make all kinds of other arrangements. Even nowadays, you can text, you can communicate with people here, there, and everywhere. You can make other plans. You can even make a reservation to fly back to San Francisco as soon as you get into O'Hare Airport. So even though we're being carried along by this very powerful force we call destiny or providence, and definitely we feel the flow of that, we can also exercise as I said, we have a modicum of free will. Yes, we're being carried along, but that modicum of free will is so powerful that just by exercising it a little bit, applying our attention to where we want to go, we can make other arrangements. While we're being carried along in a certain direction, we can change that. There's plenty of wiggle room for us. And it means coming to knowledge. First, I have to acknowledge that I do have that opportunity. Otherwise, I'll become fatalistic and just say, whatever happens, happens. And I may become hopeless. Hopeless is actually, in some ways, somebody mentioned on another show recently that hopelessness sometimes is reassuring, or not reassuring, but it's more comfortable because you just give up your sense of being an agent and you say, okay, I can't do anything about it anyway, so I'll just become hopeless and maybe get absorbed in some less important activity, just barely stay alive and try to stay in trance on watching TikTok or something like that. And if you're going to do that, you better hurry up because it might go away soon. Okay. Yes, Reshma.
I just wanted to share a reflection here. I really liked it when you said where attention goes, energy flows, because I could totally relate to it. And there have been really tough times in my life where I try not to think about it. Then I instead try to focus my mind and consciousness on doing something purposeful and mindful. And that has actually helped a lot in, transforming my energy into something that's beneficial. Thank you very much for sharing, bringing that point. Thank you. I could totally relate to that point.
Yeah, I'm glad you like that. That's actually my favorite affirmation. I say it all the time. I bring it up all the time. And it's so true that when we're caught in the maelstrom of the energies of this world, we can feel helpless. But even the slightest application of pointing our attention in a particular direction, and we'll go more into that in a second, can break us out of that cycle. So true. Thanks for giving that testimonial, Reshma. Pooja.
Yeah, thank you. And this is my mind doing tricks on me because I find contradiction, right? So earlier when we were doing meditation, it was so relaxing to hear that just be, you don't have to do anything or you don't have to go anywhere to be happy, right? So in a way, the message was, be happy, you have everything you need. But then here's my mind saying, okay, so this is another direction where we do have free will and we can change things that we don't like. But I see a contradiction in the two messages.
Sure. Well, first of all, I'll give an analogy that occurred to me once that I carry with me, and that is, don't shop when you're hungry. If you've ever heard that before and have violated that admonition and gone shopping when you're hungry, you may notice that it's a really helpful admonition. You walk around, and if, let's say it's a food store, you may buy 3 times as much as you thought you needed. And one of the ways that when you're full, when you're fat, you've eaten a satisfactory meal, you feel nourished, hunger's gone away, and then you shop, you just take what you need. And in a similar way, when we're able to take a moment to realize our spiritual nature that's not dictated, and we don't feel dictated. We feel in the moment that I don't have to grab anything. This is a sense of fullness, that I'm actually happy right where I am right now. I don't have to go anywhere and be with, I don't have to attain anything else. No extra thing will make me happy. Right now, I'm happy as I am. This is a sense that one can gain through this introspection, through meditation, through mantra meditation, and so forth. And when we have that, and then we go out into the world and we affect change, or we desire to affect change, there is a way that we do it in an enlightened way. We're much more effective when we don't want anything from the people we're interacting with. It actually counterintuitively gives us a lot more power. And so we do live in a bi-dimensional universe. We're spiritual, but we're living in a material body. So there are certain practical matters that we have to attend to. But when we have this base of understanding ourself beyond the body, and we feel naturally full, not just philosophically understand, but we actually feel this sense of peace, then we can go about our business at trying to attain things and move forward, but we do it with a sense of already being fulfilled. If you want, if I miss the main point, you can restate it again in a simple way, like in one sentence, and I'll try to finish the answer.
No, that was fantastic. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Great. Now, do I pronounce it Nasli?
Yes, correct.
No. Welcome, Nasli. Please go right ahead.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I realized, I'm an engineer in the area, is the way that I'm trained in the engineering world, in a very type A personality environment, I forget what my dharma is. What is the purpose of life that I came? And that is very important, that we know what our dharma is, so that we don't get lost.
Jesus Christ. Such an important point. The root of this word dharma, it's a Sanskrit word, means what sustains us. And there is a concept of different kinds of dharmas that we have to hold ourselves, as I said, together materially. You have to pay your rent, right? And there's also, practical matters. You have to find out where to eat, how to eat something, if you're going to grow it or go buy it or whatever. But then there's what's called our Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan means our permanent identity and what sustains us on that level. And your point is so well taken, Nasli, that if we forget about that and just get absorbed in maintaining our bodies and minds, there's never a point at which we feel actually satisfied. But when we attend to our Sanatan Dharma, then it's often compared, analogous to watering the root of a tree. We water the root and all the leaves and branches naturally feel satisfied. And it's not that we don't have to go out and do work. In the Bhagavad Gita, which is one of the great wisdom texts of the world, it's universally appreciated by people from all cultures. There's a teaching from the speaker, Krishna, who says that you do have to work a little to maintain your body. So, in that, there's a slight sense of type A, yeah, I want to put it together in a nice way. But when you remember your Dharma, what's the purpose behind it all? Why are we doing all this in the first place? Then you come to a much more balanced understanding. And one of the basic understandings given in the wisdom literature called Srimad Bhagavatam is mentioned in a verse that goes like this: Kama sanendriya pritir labo jivete yavata jivasya tattva jignasya narto yashcheha karmabi. And that is, all the activities we do to maintain the body and the mind, these are meant to be take a supporting role for our Sanatan Dharma. In other words, eat to live, don't live to eat. And don't get the cart before the horse, otherwise you won't feel happy. Such great comments and questions today. Thank you so much, everybody. Okay, JM, if you see anything in the chat that you want to bring up, please go ahead.
Yeah, there are a few messages in the chat. But before that, if it's okay, I did want to maybe quickly share the Success Sadhana app, how maybe people who are interested, they can use that app. And maybe if you want to give an overview of that. Before I go.
Here with you, 29458.
That's a great idea.
Okay. So let me share my screen. And it's an app, Success Sadhana, which is available both on iOS and Android. You can go to Apple Store or Google Store, and you can see that. And it's a very simple app, but as Vash always says, consistency is very powerful. So if you can consistently practice any of the activities which improve your body, mind, or spirit for consecutive days, like generally it's stated, if you can do it for 21 days, then you build that habit. Then you can actually start integrating it in your life, and it will help you lead a balanced, fulfilled life. So once you log in, I've logged in already, so you can see activities which are categorized under body, mind, and spirit. So you can go under each one of them. You can see all the suggested activities. You can do one or as many as you'd like. Each of these activities, once you've completed, you can select complete and then click submit. Like that, so you've got activities for improving your body, mind, or spirit. That does include mantra meditation. And it also has help guide. So you can get details around how to use the app in this as well. So this way you can track your activities on a daily basis and then make improvements. Anything more you'd like to add, Vash?
Yeah, it's true that we build habits. Like there's this, it's often repeated. You do something 21 days and then it's a habit. I've found that it takes much longer than that. And it also requires support, because there's a way in which even we may do something for 21 days. It's really easy by degrees to fade away from any practice. And one of the points of application is to decide ahead of time what's most beneficial for your life, and then make sure you're able to do it every day, even if it's a tiny bit. Consistency is so important. And so the app supports us. It's there to help us check in every day and have something to mark off and say, okay, I did it. Now my basics are covered for today. In any discipline, The basics are the most important. You have to decide which are the basics that you want to cover. Like in financial planning, you have to put away 10% of your gross income and invest it in a proper place. Otherwise, if you just keep spending, you'll be broke later on, no matter how much you make. So there's basics in music also. If you don't practice half hour a day, then when you go back to your teacher's going to say, oh, you didn't practice, you're not serious. So in our spiritual practice, this is our life. We get to design it the way we want. Decide what you want. There's some guidelines here, and the app will support you. Yes, Nasli.
Yeah, one of the things that I find very difficult is how to control mind. With today's technology, social media, all these negative news that we hear, it's very easy for us to lower our frequency. No matter how much I'm grateful every day that I wake up, as soon as I go and attend to social media or news, I hear bad stories, and all of a sudden, whatever exercises I did the previous day through these apps, or it lowers my frequency. So my question is how to control mind and how many layers mind has. Some people says that a mind has 26 layers. I wanted to get your advice on what are the books that we can read about mind, how to control it so that we can get a control of our life.
Well, I'll just say something very practical about the social media and other kinds of information that are not just available now, they've always been available, even through newspapers and so forth. So, and this is something that I wrote into the app, is that before you go on to any medium to absorb knowledge, make a note to yourself, even it's better if you write it down, exactly what are you trying to extract from this medium. So let's say you go into social media, unless you have a specific purpose for going there, don't go. And if you decide ahead of time that you're trying to get something specific out of it and you have a reason to be there, then go for that and come back. It's like you swim to the bottom of the pool, you grab the thing that you're going to need and you come back up for air. Don't get drowned in there, because then you'll just get carried away. And regarding controlling the mind in general, the mind has to have a superior occupation. We can't control the mind by restraint ultimately, because it'll snap back to its natural conditioned state. So if we have something that is giving us more pleasure, we're feeling more sense in the beginning. When we start to do a discipline in our life by following a spiritual track every day, we'll start to feel this sense of integrity. Integrity is a very powerful feeling that, wow, I actually feel sincere because I do what I'm supposed to do. The opposite of that is what's called cognitive dissonance. I know it's the right thing to do, but I'm not doing it. And this is a very subtle but extremely disorienting kind of a vibration that comes into our lives when we're doing things that we know we shouldn't do and we want to do the right thing. So all of this talk today and the app, and the reason we have this show in the first place is to create this momentum, a place of association where you can say, yeah, I'm going to pick out the things I want to do. I'm going to do them every day. And also, when I spoke about the basics, when we're able to complete our basics every day, then the other distractions, things that might be distractions in our life, have less and less power over us, because we, again, don't shop when you're hungry. When you already have a sense that I feel whole, I've done my thing, we're not so attracted to everything else. We get attracted to all the insignificant things when we're not spiritually fulfilled. So we can get spiritually fulfilled. Start the day off in the right way. What a great question. Thank you very much, Nasli. Okay, Jam, let's go to a few slides before we go back to the board, because I want to get give a little more content so everyone feels like they got something more to take away. So here's some elements of application. And we've discussed quite a bit today about recognizing our free will. This is important, and to come back in touch with this. Don't be a victim. Don't just be carried away. It helps that what we did this morning, or at the beginning of the show, I should say, to be aware that we can point our attention wherever we wish. We're not helpless. Now, the next word, number 2, is a vow. Vows are powerful. It's something that we can do. We can decide that we're going to do something and write it down, and then our lives change instantly because we have a new track. We can go in a new direction. There's suddenly hope. And this is something very unique to humans. You can make a vow at any time. Vow, the word vote comes from vow, as you'll see in a minute. The next step is to gather knowledge. How will I do this? And also, why will I do this? We need reinforcement every day. In the teachings of yoga, there's what's called a cultivation of one's relationship with the goal. And this is very important. Every day we have to remind ourselves, why am I doing this? This why question is really powerful because we can forget that. We can just get absorbed in doing it and forget why we're doing it. So knowledge of the goal and knowledge of why we're doing something. Then comes the practice. And this is extremely tasty because once we have the knowledge, we have the vow, we know we have free will to do it. We just set off and we do it. Okay, a couple more slides. Oh, this is not a political statement. It's just something I appreciated that this particular person said once. He said, don't boo vote. Because vote, actually, the word vow, the word vote comes from vow. Vote means a formal expression of one's wish or choice. When I took an economics class in college, they started off by saying that we get dollar votes. We vote with where we spend our money and so forth. So when you actually enact something, you walk in and you sit down and you say, you just voted with your feet. So vow means to speak or write a pledge. Make a pledge, and your pledge, as you'll see, is your wedge. The V in vow is a wedge. Look at that. It's a perfect wedge, right? That's where it has a small end and a big end. This morning, I was on my early morning walk and there was a nail right on the pathway. So I picked it up and I was looking at it. It's a very rusty nail. And I was appreciating how to had a very sharp, pointy end. And that's the point of a wedge. The place where you enter, the smaller it is, the sharper it is. Now, there's two parts to that. The sharper it is means you know exactly what you want. That's a sharpness of mind and purpose. And then also it means you just make a small commitment. Your goal may be large, but start with the small end. The wedge has a small end and a big end, and the small end is, the better. So when you make a pledge, that becomes your wedge. And pledge, start off with something that you can definitely do. Because after 3 or 5 days of enacting your vow, your mind's going to say, wow, this is too much. I'm really busy. Or something overwhelming will happen in your life. And you have to keep it so small that no matter what else happens, it could be a flood. That's possible, especially here in the Bay Area nowadays. You'll still do it. You have to do it. And so that's why you can start off with your pledge as your wedge and make the small end really small. Okay, JM, let's see a few more. Think about a wedge. I'm emphasizing this because it's our tool to go forward with enacting our practice, to concentrate force at a defined point. Define what you want. Be very clear about it. We look at various tools we have, like a doorstop, a wood splitter, a lift, a knife. All of these instruments are wedges, and they're very useful. We can use this technique to open our lives up to change. Make a tiny, concentrated vow. What does tiny mean? It means when you look at it, you're like, anybody could do that. That's too small. That's a good place to start. That's a good place to start, because otherwise, after 5 days, you're like, oh yeah, this is another one of these things I can't do. Most people make a vow and it's too big. They can't possibly continue it. And that's what we want to do, is make sure you continue it every day. It's important, our desire. Our desire is like fire. And my teacher once told a story about a person who moved to a neighborhood and nobody spoke his language. But one day his house caught on fire. Actually, this house burned a little too long. His house caught on fire. There was a small fire and he ran into the neighborhood to get help, but he didn't speak the language. But he was able to get help because his desire was so strong and he saved his house. This one looks beyond saving. I think the person didn't have a house on fire desire. So in the same way, if we check in on our desire, how strong is it? Is it a house on fire desire? Or is it just, maybe I can do it, maybe I don't. But if you can build up your desire to achieve your goal to a house on fire desire, then even if people around you don't understand you, whatever, you'll be able to communicate it. It's the desire that moves the needle for us. So the next is, and I cannot emphasize this enough, write it down. I actually feel that it's important to use a pen and paper, but even if you write it down and you never see the paper again, there's a residual effect in your mind that you wrote this down, you made an intention, you put your wedge, you made your pledge, and that became your wedge, and it's somewhere in your subconscious. It's even better if you keep it around. I recommend once you write it down, keep it in plastic. Use a standard piece of paper, write it down and put it in a piece of plastic where it's always there, present on your desk. Pick it up and look at it. It's a refocusing device. Henry David Thoreau, if you have built castles in the air, your work need not be lost. That is where they should be. Now put foundations under them. So, as I mentioned, two elements extremely important: knowledge and practice. So this word information comes from inform, which literally means to give shape to something. It's amazing how creative we are. When we get information, then we can visualize how it's going to actually come together. So get good information. Bad information is one of the banes on corporations and so forth. They're always trying to filter that out. Misinformation is rampant nowadays. Make sure you get a good source of information so that you don't go in the wrong direction. But when you gather quality information, it makes everything come into shape and it makes it possible. So knowledge and practice. And then mentors. I like this by Ralph Waldo Emerson. He said, our chief want in life is somebody who will make us do what we can. So yeah, we may have a house on fire desire, but how to maintain that? Find people that know more than you do. Find somebody who knows more than you do. Find somebody whose desire for you to succeed is stronger than your own desire. We could take help. We're on a planet with billions of people. Find the ones that can help us and take help from them. It's worth it. That's how we really make advancement, is by being connected to people with superior energy and desire. And practice. I'll read this quote. Start by doing and remembering that you'll always be bad at something before you get good at it. Be bold and don't be afraid to make mistakes, because failure is the pillar to success. So just the fact that you're clear, you have good information, the fact that you're bad at it, don't worry. Everybody is when they start something. And that's not the point. The point is to be in process and to hit your marks every day and keep moving. I like this about music. I mentioned musical practice. If anybody's ever tried to play some musical instrument, this quote really strikes home. Music is a proud, temperamental mistress. Give her the time and attention she deserves, and she is yours. Slight her, and there will come a day when you call and she will not answer. So I began sleeping less to give her the time she needed. And finally, drops a day wear stone away. So the small practice that you decide to start, if you do it consistently, as you do it consistently, it'll wear a hole even into stone and a passageway through. It's remarkable how much persistence is the fulcrum of power in our life. So pick something that you can do on the app. There are little things that you can pick and say, I'll just start here. I constantly am checking back in. I make sure that I complete my pledges that I made every day. That's my mainstay. It's almost like a game, until you complete it, your day's not done. And it gives you a little excitement rather than being lost in hopelessness, being lost in just washed away by looking at nothing, which means random information that you didn't decide to look at. You just allowed the AI machine to put it in front of your eyes, and you just keep watching it for no reason. Decide what you want to consume, what you want to read, which kinds of states of consciousness you want to attain, and go about it on a daily basis. And even if you start with doing it 5 minutes a day, that's the small end of the wedge that will start opening up for you. JM, there's only 3 minutes, so let's see if we can catch a last comment or two.
Please unmute yourself and ask any questions or share any reflections.
Only if you want. It's all voluntary. So if you want to just add something, it's really nice to have at the end just any reflection, thoughts you're taking away from today. What are you taking away? Like the one thing, if you walk out of there, you hang up and somebody else in the room says, okay, what did that guy say? What's the one thing you're going to tell him?
Aurelia.
You are so quick. You know what? Very powerful, very inspirational. I always try to be mindful of this topic, but you hit on so many important and insightful points that are just like drinking a glass of fresh ice water. Just wonderful. Thank you so much for all the wonderful tips. I've taken notes, and I'm definitely going to put it in a plastic thing or in a frame and put it on my work desk as a daily reminder. So thank you for that tip. I'm definitely going to do it.
See, Marilia, I got mine on my desk right here. Wrote things by hand, they're right here. And there's so many times when this interrupts me in my frenetic day, and then I look at it and go, oh yeah, right, I have purpose in my life. I'm okay. So I always appreciate your enthusiasm, Aurelia. Thank you very much. You bring a lot of light energy to this program. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Wisam.
Okay. Yes, Wisam.
Yes, the two key takeaway messages are, I actually wrote them down, is that you are the tool of change, and you have house on fire desire in order to change things. They go hand in hand.
Yeah. So important. Thanks for bringing those up. It's there's an ancient verse that talks about it says Krishna bhakti ras pavitomati kriyatam yadi kritopi labdite tatalolyam apimulyam ekalam janmakoti sukritirna labdite. This was written 500 years ago by a very esteemed practitioner of bhakti yoga. And he said that the main price to pay for making spiritual advancement, becoming whole, and really developing yourself is your intense desire to have it. That's the price. And then he said, in the verse I just quoted from Sanskrit, he said that if it's available somewhere, go get it right now. Don't wait. Don't say tomorrow morning, just drive off into the night and grab it, because it's so valuable. We only have a little bit of time in this life. It's very temporary. It's sometimes compared to a little drop resting on a leaf and it could fall off at any second. But while we have it, it's a miracle that we have this human body and mind where we can actually be self-determining and make advancements. So he says, do it now. Don't wait. Every second counts. And it's so powerful when you do make that advancement. Well, thank you very much, JM, for keeping the lights on. He's been doing this for years now, keeping us all engaged here. And thanks all of you for joining during your busy lives. It's so meaningful, and it's a great source of sustenance for me to be with all of you and hear all of your comments and have time to discuss this.
And for us to be with you. And I have just one more that I wanted to say really quick, if it's okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Awesome. Okay. So what really touched me and hit home with me that you mentioned was the point about if you don't put away 10% of all earnings, no matter how much you make, if you keep spending, you'll be broke in the end. That is so true.
Yeah. It's actually, I learned that when I was in my 20s. Everything I learned for financial planning, I learned from a little book called The Richest Man in Babylon. And I applied those principles throughout my life. They've been very effective. So yeah, and I also like to compare it to any other active discipline. Make sure you're putting away for yourself. Don't just work mindlessly, no matter how much advancement you're thinking you're making. Make sure you invest in yourself. And I think, as Pooja brought up, it's our Sanatan Dharma that most counts. Make sure you hit the root, not just the branches and the leaves. JM, on my way home from India, I was in India a lot last year doing retreats and things like that, and just happened to swing back through the Himalayas. And I compared notes with a lot of the townspeople who live down at the base camps, and they go up in the Himalayas, about the yogis. They go into these states of trance in caves because there's no waves from the radios or any other place that comes in there. It's completely quiet. And they do come out from time to time. They see their colleagues sometimes also foraging for roots and tubers and things like that to take back in their caves. And when they see each other, they become really excited and they want to encourage one another. And they use this phrase from Sanskrit. It goes like this, Hari Bol, and it means keep the transcendental vibration going. So they raise their hands high in the air and they say Hari Bol to each other across the peaks. You want to try it? We're in like little cave-like rooms here. Shall we try it before we go?
Let's
Yes.
Hari Bol.
Hari
Hari
Bol.
Hari Bol. Thanks, everybody.